Hi there, my name's Vince from mymatevince.com, and in this video today we're going to try and repair this Beomaster 1900. So this is by Bang & Olufsen, and this model here is anywhere between 1976 and 1979. So we're looking at something which is 40 plus years old. So I bought it from eBay and I've had a quick look at it now. I only unboxed it about half an hour ago, and unfortunately it isn't really as described. There's more wrong with it than was initially described, but saying that, that will probably make for a more interesting video. So let me show you the listing to begin with, and then I'm going to show you around the item itself. So here it is. I paid £50 for it and £15 postage, so altogether I paid £65, and it just says on it B&O, which is for Bang & Olufsen, Beo Centre, well it's not, it's a Beomaster, 1900, maybe that's just another name for it. Please read item description. Plenty of pictures, and then in the description it says, B&O Beo Centre 1900, the receiver powers on at times, but the switch on off needs attention because when switched off, then on, the system seems to have problems powering up, but I just kept it on the on position for now. System plays all okay, but sometimes switches itself off in the middle of play. A couple of screws missing on the back cover, some minor marks and scratches as in pictures, so this hi-fi will need a bit of attention to perfect it, or maybe just service. Please be aware of this when you purchase. Comes with a pair of speakers, not of the same brand, no cable, some minor marks and scratches around. So I was thinking that it was going to be a problem with the on and off switch, but when I've had a look around it, there's more things wrong with it, like there's lights that are out, and also the bass, treble and balance sliders only go about just over halfway. So for example, when it comes to the balance, you can't have it coming out of either the right speaker or the left speaker. It has to be, even if you just go over to near the bottom, it's near enough coming all out of one speaker and just a little bit out of the other speaker. So it definitely needs some work on it. But I'm looking forward to seeing the inside of it. The thing weighs an absolute ton. The price of it was in 1978 was £237. So if you take that in today's money, that's 1,186. It came in rosewood, teak and white. I think this is rosewood. I'm not too sure. Yeah, I'm looking there, it looks a bit dark, so I think it's rosewood. And what's interesting is it's quite futuristic for back then, because all these buttons here, you just tap them. There's no click buttons here, you just rest your finger on them, and it works really nice. And basically, reading up on the internet about this, it says that they're touch sensitive controls and it uses the operator's body as an antenna. So when I press this, it's using me as the antenna, which puts some electrical noise into a little plate underneath the buttons, and then that turns on a sensitive transistor. So that all sounds pretty nice. So let's plug it in and I'll show you what it's doing. So I've plugged it in now, and you can see standby lights on, and it says Bang & Olufsen of Denmark, so you can see the age of it just from that there. It says Beomaster 1900, various different sticky bits and various stains around the place, but still overall a nice looking design. Imagine now this in the late 70s, it would have definitely looked very futuristic back then. So check this out now. A solid piece of aluminium opening up there, and it's like a slow shut, really slow. And this houses secondary controls under here. So these are like your main controls that you've got here. And if you have a look, we've got FM stereo, phono, tape, FM 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So you can have 5 different stations set here. That's your FM 1, 2, and you can move this thing up around here. And this is the FM 5 here. This is how you tune the top one, and all the others are just tuned by just moving that around there. FM stereo on and off, AFC, not sure what that means, on and off, loudness on and off, and then preset volume, medium, low and high. Now this is what I was talking about these things here. Look, they all only go up to there. So they're not, they should go right the way to the top. And can you see now, they want to go down to the bottom. So if I want the balance, if I put it to there, that's not balanced. It's nearly all on the one speaker. Yeah? So I can have it going all to one speaker, but I can't have it going all the way to the other speaker there. So there's something wrong with the alignment here. So that should be an interesting one. This is the on and off switch, but check this out. When I turn it off, you see the standby light will go off after a few seconds. There you go, just going away there. And now watch, when I turn it on, see, it's back on again. So as far as I can see, that's working fine, but it does look a bit bent, so hopefully we can fix that. But watch this now. if I go to FM1, you can hear now, sounds coming out here. Now this is the volume here. Now look, if I press this one, you can see the light goes all the way to that side. And if I put my finger on this one, and you only have to just rest your finger on it, it goes all the way to the other side. And it goes pretty loud as well. I think it's 2 times 30 watts, this. Only the bass is lighting up. The treble and the balance is not lighting up. Let me go to a station that's actually working. So I haven't got an FM aerial. I've just plugged in a rabbit ear TV aerial on it just to get some sort of reception. If I go to FM5, there you go. There. Plug in. And then if you have a look here, when I put stereo FM on, this comes. Now the funny thing is, when I've just been messing around with it, when it's off it seems to be quite clear, but every time I go to on it gets quite fuzzy. Now it could be just because I haven't got the correct aerial, or I wonder, is there some kind of like capacitor issue or something on the inside. But look how easy this is to change. Look at that, you just tap it. It really is a nice little motion there. So that all appears to be okay, and then we can just hit that one to standby again. So it looks like the problems we've got are, it was reported that this is faulty, so I have to have a look at that. But as far as I can see, the main problems are, these 3 things only go as far as that, so we need to somehow, I don't know, I'm not sure how that would have happened. Maybe they've been clipped on wrong or something. And if you have a look when I turn it back on, let's just go to tape so there's no noise. Look at the bass here. There's no treble and balance. We're going to have to look into why they're not lighting up. But if you have a look here, can you see that there? Can you see how it moves along? Isn't that clever when I move this up? I don't know if that's coming across in the camera, but right now you can see that it's just under halfway, which it shouldn't be. It should be all the way over here because we're down here. And now look, when I start to move it up, can you see it's moved all the way up to here? But look, we haven't gone all the way up. But I'd like to know how that's working. So I think that's going to be interesting. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to opening this up and having a look at it. I'm just going to turn it off now. So put it on standby and turn off. And I just want to show you the underneath of it. I'm going to unplug it. Also, this plug is just being, this looks like a new plug, and it looks like it hasn't even had the cord grip on it. So yeah, I kind of need to check everything out. But if you have a look underneath, this one here weighs an absolute ton. Sorry, just trying to do this one-handed. This is a Type 2903. We have inputs for 4 speakers. It's like speaker 1 and speaker 2. Weird thing is, if you have a look here, it says speaker 2 and it says off. So it looks like there should have been a switch there originally. Looking in there, all I can see is what looks like a capacitor. So I need to look into that. I've had a look on YouTube, can't find any reference to that switch. But I haven't looked at the user manual yet. But yeah, it looks good. Up here we have the FM here, yeah? So I think it's going to be interesting seeing the inside of it. Also there's the main voltage, you see the different inputs. So we're 240 here in the UK. So already I'm in love with this thing. And these speakers here were just given to me, and they've got this connector at the bottom. So if you have a look here, there you go, that sort of connector there. But again, everything's very filthy. And the good thing about this is, because I've got my tape, I've already got a Bo cord, I think it was a 5500, and it's got the same inputs as here. Can you see here? I presume that means tape, and I'm thinking that symbol there means phono, like record player. So I'm thinking that my ones were a 7-pin, but I think on the 7-pin, because these are a 5-pin, on the 7-pin I think you can undo 2 of the pins at the bottom to fit in here. So now I can use this as my amplifier. So this isn't just a radio, it's also an amplifier as well. So I can plug that into here, and then my tape cassette will be coming out of these speakers here. So let's get this over to the blue mat, take it apart, and let's see what the inside looks like. I think first things, let's have a look at this plug here, just to see what fuse is in it, because I bet it's going to be a 13 amp. Yeah, 13 amp. Now, I don't know what wattage this is using. It's not going to need a 13 amp, and that's for sure. I think I'm going to stick a 3 amp in it, because 240 times 3 is going to be 720. Is it going to be drawing more than 720 watts? I'm not too sure. What I can do is I can always have a look at the... I'll try and get the manual later, but for the moment I'm just going to put a 3 amp fuse in here. And I'm just going to neaten this up a little bit as well. Right, there you go, so that's the clamp up nice and tight now, so when you yank on the cable it's going to be yanking on the clamp rather than straight on these terminals here. Now if you haven't seen my videos before, these are trying to fix videos. A lot of times I don't fix things, I can end up making things worse. If you're a B&O repairman, you're going to see a lot of errors in this video. Remember, I've never taken one of these apart before. I've never seen, to my knowledge, one of these before. I certainly haven't owned one before, and in the last half an hour or hour whenever I unpacked it, that was the first time I've laid hands on it. So there might be plenty of mistakes in this video. Remember, I've bought it second hand because to get it repaired professionally is probably not economical. So even if I do break it, well, who's going to pay hundreds of pounds to get it repaired anyway, when you can probably get one that's already in perfect condition and maybe has previously had work on it for less than the cost of a professional repair in it. So it's just kind of like having a go at trying to fix it. Right, so it says here, specified amplifier output 2 times 30 watts with 2 speakers, or 2 times 15 watts with 4 speakers. So it looks like we can have 4 15 watt speakers going into here. So now it says here, to remove bottom cover, unscrew A. To remove top cover, unscrew B. 2 screws on secondary control panel. So there must be 2 screws at the front there. So I suppose we just need to, should we just take it completely apart? Let's start with the bottom. It should come off. There we go. Oh, that's nice. Very nice. Okay. Right, we've got a switch here. What's that switch for there? 1 second now. Yeah, we've got a switch just in here. Don't know what that's for. I wonder, is that for the speakers, to turn this to the second lot of speakers off? And also, oh, we've got 2 big capacitors just glued in here, haven't we? That's definitely not original. Here, look at them. Right, so obviously a repair's already been put in here. I wonder whether originally this switch was down here, and because of the capacitors has been removed. Why has the capacitors been put in? I don't know. Maybe that's when it was put back together, it wasn't aligned up properly. Okay, well, let's take off the front, the top cover now, and see what that exposes. I'm just gonna, let me just measure these capacitors here, see if there's any voltage in them. No, there's nothing in there. And let's try this one here. Can't really get to the lead on that one. I think that's in there. Yeah, I don't think there's any charge left in them. Got a couple of fuses here, let's just test them while we're here. Yep. Right, spin it over and let's get these screws out the back. So what did it say? 4 out there, yes, there's 2 here and then 2 on the control. 4 here and 2 on the control panel. That's that. Right, that looks like it's loose there, and it says 2 screws on secondary control panel. So there's a screw here and a screw all the way over this side as well. So let's undo them. Now is this going to come off? I wonder how it comes off. Oh, okay, yeah, so it just hinges up there at the back. And now, okay, there we have it. There we have it. So that gives me a good opportunity to clean all that up. Now, let's have a look at the back of these. So look, they work like that. So these bits have to clip in here. So why weren't they going all the way up? Let's put this to one side so we don't scratch up the aluminium anymore. And this is the back. Right, let's have a look here. Right, so they definitely do go all the way up and down. Ah, look at this. Look, there's like a plastic sheet. Ah, this is how it works. look here, a plastic sheet with increments on it. Can you see here? So basically with lines, so when the light shines through, depending on where you have this, let's say if the light's just in the middle here, look, it's going to be on that one there, but then it's going to start shining through this one here because that's where it's clear. And then as you go down, they must go more in that direction than the lines are this side. So that's what makes it look like the line is moving along. That's clever, isn't it? Right, so we've got them there, so that can be easily cleaned up. If you have a look here on the rails down here, I can get a cotton bud, a Q-tip and some IPA and clean up them, so then that should work nice and smoothly. What we got here, these all capacitors. Everything looks a bit mucky. It does say there C3. Maybe these are the capacitors. They're also labelled up as like plus and minus. And if you look there, it does say C3 just there. Right, there's all sorts of different screws and stuff you can turn. I'm not going to mess with any of that because as far as I know, it's I'm sure all that's going to be working fine. We got a spring here. I think that's to keep the tension on this little, you know, this little rope here for the tuner thing, the indicator here. Right, well it all looks nice. What we got going on this side here? So has that just been taped up? Yeah, that's just been taped up, I'm pretty sure. Okay, well it's been soldered. That's been soldered. Actually, that's heat shrink on there. And that's okay. That's heat shrink. And the cable can't be pulled anyway because it's got a nice little bend here to stop yanking the cable. That's all nice so far. I think that this here should be very easy to fix. So let's just mess around. Let's put them all up top and let's pop this on. And now let's see. So what we'll do is now with this, let's put them all up top. And now they should just line up, shouldn't they, if they're all up top there. Oh no, sorry, hold on. All up top, this way, there. There we go. Right, let's just pop this back on. I think when this was tipped like this, there you go, they just dropped down. I think maybe it was kind of put back together in a hurry. Right, now let's see. I'm not sure if that's going to line up or not. Let's just see if that's going to make a difference. There you go. Hey, well I'm pretty sure that that's going to have fixed that. So do you know what was happening there? I don't reckon. Well, mind you, the balance was definitely working. Maybe they weren't in it at all. Maybe they were sat on top of it. So when you were moving it, or maybe they were sat below it. So, but saying that, if it's sat on the top or bottom, you're only going to be able to move it one way and not the other way. And it definitely made a difference when I did the balance. But anyway, look, you can see now it's going, which you would expect, it's going to where the indicator is. It won't go any further down, while before it went past that. And now it goes all the way up to there. So I think that's going to have fixed that one. So now what we need to look into is the power switch here, and the power switch, and also the lights, to find out why the light's not working. Power switch is over this side here. I'll zoom in a bit on this. Right, so that's just a little cover on there, and that's why it was wobbly there, so that's not actually a problem. What's this massive thing here? Is that for the, is that some sort of big transformer or something? Anyway, here we go. This is the switch here. So this does look a bit corroded. This looks very corroded actually. Yeah, there's a lot of corrosion on that, so maybe that switch is a bit dodgy. The wires as well don't look great in the bottom of it. I think what I'm going to do here is make a note of where the wires go to, and then I'm going to unsolder it. I'm going to try to clean up this switch with some IPA, get rid of all the corrosion, and put some deoxit in it maybe to get a nice connection on there. It just doesn't look nice whatsoever, and one of the wires at the back there looks completely burnt. In fact, it looks like it's crossing over with the other one. Yeah, it looks really loose. Let me take the camera off to show you. Look in here. Can you see that one there? It looks really, really loose. Really loose. This one. and it looks like it's bending over and almost hitting the brown wire behind it. Yeah, so let's unsolder that to begin with. I'm just scribble down on there where the wires go to. So we've got brown, dark blue, light blue, and the burnt one there. And there's a little dot on the switch, so I know where that goes. Now look, just from that tiny bit of fiddling, that wire's come straight off there. So I really do think that the connections here are a bit iffy. Whether that, I don't think the connections are to do with the fact that it's cutting off. Well, he did say that it doesn't. Do you know what? Maybe that actually, he said on the thing that, or he or she, that they leave it on and then it works, but then if they were to turn it off, it doesn't always come on. Maybe it was just a bad connection there. But you think with the transporting to me that it would have knocked straight off. So I think it's probably more likely just a dirty switch. But anyway, let's get rid of all this rubbish from it and let's see if we can clean it up. Maybe the switch is completely gone, because it looks like there's some contacts under there that are not really there anymore. There we go. Right, let's have a look at that now. See what it looks like. Yeah, so look, the contacts have broken off there, so the repair's already happened on this. You can see that's there, but that looks... Actually, to be fair, no, they're not weak, they're okay. I can leave them. But these ones here are not great, so I'm going to have to try to get more metal showing. Yeah. So I suppose originally there would have been probably contacts coming down here and here. Right, let's undo these screws around the edge. Let's take it out, turn it over in one go, and then take that front bit off. Right, I've just heard a spring go. Let's have a look now what's going to happen. Right, what's getting... Oh, okay, there's all metal. There's all metal things. Now I've got to be careful. You know these touch things? There's all lumps of metal coming down from them, like bits of copper. How does that come off now? Oh, there we go. Okay, so look at that, that's all aluminium again. Look at that. Now that is quality. Right, so you can see them all here, sticking out here, and these look like they're copper as well, don't they? But look, it looks like I've slightly bent this one. So I just need to I need to make sure when it goes back on that it goes back into the right place. So let's find out now where these go. Also, it gives me an opportunity to clean all this here, because these are the little where the lights light through, so any dust and dirt would show up there. But again, just look at that. I mean, that's just beautiful, isn't it? That really is. Whether you like B&O products or not, look at that. One piece of aluminium. How nice is that? There's pins. Ah, so if that didn't work, it could be just the pins that need cleaning. So have a look here. Can you see it's like a snake's tongue? You see there's like a V stuck out of it, yeah? Can you see there? Each of them have a V cut out. And now have a look down here. See here? Pin, pin. And so they just contact the pin there. So if I was to turn it on now and just tap this pin, I'm pretty sure then that would also register. Unless it's got to be me tapping the copper to tap the pin, but I don't see why, it's just conducting through. Yeah, so it's all these things here. Right, okay, so what have we got now? Let's zoom out a bit. So how is all this magic happening? Right, so we've got just, these here are just to make the different colour lights, green and red. These here are absolutely, oh, this feels like it's breaking down. I think this is all breaking down. I'm just going to get my eye loop on that. Do you know what I think's happened here? The bulbs have probably gotten hot and now they've melted the plastic here. So can you see all these lines here? I don't think they're going to be able to be cleaned. Yeah, that's all rough. I'm just going to get my eye loop on that and just to have a look closely at it. Yeah, all the lines are starting to break down, but I don't know if you can see this or not, but you see, for example, there, you can see there's dust on it, so I'll be able to make it a bit cleaner, but I've got to be careful, because look, like you see there, I'm moving the dust away, yeah? So I can definitely make it better, but these bits here are rough, and the actual lines going down are coming apart, So what would happen there if I was to try to like use a wet wipe and clean that? That would just go clear, and then you see you wouldn't get a proper mark of where this square is, because the square only looks good when it's got the lines next to it, because the light's shining through the square and the rest of it looks a bit like digital. But by it all being fuzzy here, once I clean that, I mean I can clean the squares, but might be able to clean the squares, I'm not too sure. Don't know if I can clean the squares or not, but I will try. But I definitely can't go. I need to leave that fuzziness there, otherwise it's just going to be bright and the whole section here will be lighting up. Right, so it's these two that are not working, so let's try and strip this back here. So this comes off the front here. Let's zoom in a bit. That comes off there. Right, okay, and that's clipped into that bit there. So let's just have a quick look now, see how well this does clean. Yeah, I can feel it's all rough in the middle there. Interestingly though, this side is as smooth as could be. So I suppose it's printed, it must be printed, the ink must be on this side here. But you would have thought it was that side that would have been burning. Yeah, these have definitely gone yellow. I reckon originally they would have been completely clear. Right, so let's take these ones off here and see what we've got underneath. There we go. Oh, again, can you see this is a repair? Yeah, this is a repair here. But look, it's been around for a long time. I suppose you have to expect some repairs on it. So now I need to find out what's happening with these lights. So let's take this cover off here. There we go. There we have them. Right, let's see now if it's the lights or if it's something else. So we know the one over here is working, but these two are not. Again, you can see the burn marks here. So these can be taken out and cleaned. Right, let's get the multimeter and let's go to continuity and let's see if it's going to go through the first one. Yes, it is. Now let's go on to the next one. No, it's not. Okay, well that's good. So it's probably just a bulb that has gone. And nothing on that one as well. I'm just going to have a little look through with my eye loop, see if I can see if they're broken or not. Yeah, definitely just gone. Right, let me zoom right in. Right, so forget about those big copper bits coming up here, and also forget about these ones that look like a lamppost going across. But from here, this copper post here, you have a little bit of wire going up to that lamppost, and from here you've got a little bit of wire going up to the lamppost, but they're not joining across there. And that's exactly the same with the other one on the right hand side over this way. But now look at the one just to this side here. This is so heavy to move. Hold on, there we go. Right, now if you have a look on top, see where there's no shadow, hold on. Don't know if you probably won't be able to see it, but basically in between the two lampposts there's a little bit of wire and it continues on its way through. So it's as simple as a blown bulb. So what I have to do is I have to find out now what voltage these are, and also what watts they are as well. So I could measure for voltage across here, But to do that I've got to fix the switch, and also I need to clean up all the potentiometers and everything, and I want to clean all these switches while I'm here. So I suppose I could do that at the end, or I could just do the easy option out and just go online. I mean, this has been around for a lot of time, there's going to be a following on it, so I will be able to find out. This must be a very common thing to go wrong, so it might be just as easy for me to do that, because I'm still not going to know what watts they are anyway. But I could definitely find out the voltage of them, couldn't I, by just turning this up full. And well, actually it's nothing to do with full, because it's not a brightness, they're just on all the time. I just have to go across here and see what voltage they are. Now let's go over here now, and let's just test each of these. I'm pretty sure the bulbs did light up on each of them, but let's just see what's happening on this section here. Right, so it looks like this one's gone as well. Let's see what this one's for. I don't remember there being another light not working. Standby. Oh, look, there's two. Can you see there's two? Yeah, the standby lights in the middle. One of them definitely came on. I'm sure it was that one that came on. Maybe it was that one that came on. The arrow going that way is not working. So it looks like I need to get 3 of these lamps, because there's nothing happening with that one there. Just going to have a look at my eye loop, see if I can see the break on the top. Yeah, 100%, that one's broken as well. So I'm just going to give these ones here a quick clean out. Let's just see how these pop out. Okay, just like that. Yes, I'm going to do it one at a time so I don't get any colours mixed up. Before we do the lights, I do want to have a look at this switch here. So I've just pulled this bit off here because there's not enough of these metal contacts sticking out, so I'm going to have to do some sort of repair, because otherwise the wire is not going to get a good connection. You can see that these metal things sticking out should be sticking out a lot further, just like these ones here. You can see that there's a hole at the bottom, and then you've got all that tab sticking out, while here you've just got part of the hole at the bottom, and the same with this one here. So to begin with, I'm just going to give it a good clean so I can see exactly what's going on. And these tabs actually do come out of here, so there's a little slot for them to come out, so I can give that a good scrape now and clean that up, make it nice and clean for a good contact. Just thinking about how to fix up this switch. Now I need to extend this kind of broken bit up the top. The problem is I haven't got a huge amount of room because it's all self-contained in here, and I don't want to pack out the back, because then when the little switches go across to there, I want it to have a certain distance in between, otherwise they might start going on without the switch actually being selected up. So I've got these massive diodes here. These are 600 volt diodes. I'm going to break off a little bit of the leg on each side so I can still use the diode, and I'm just going to loop it into a little U, and then I'm just going to solder it onto the top bit there. And as long as I'm careful when I solder the wires onto that, then I'm thinking that might be a better connection than trying to just solder the wire straight onto here when there's only a millimetre of it showing out here. I think it will be a better job. So I've extended out those bits now, and I haven't put any on the back bit there, just up at the top, so hopefully now they will still sit in their place okay. So I've now got to get it all back together. Wow, that was fiddly. So you can see what's happening there. At the moment that switch is in the on position because it's up top. When it moves down, it will then make these two things pivot away from here. So right now you can see that these two are live. They're travelling up through the copper tracks up here to touch this one and this one. Then when you put the switch down, which I'm not going to do without the lid because it will all ping out on me because this is under tension here, then when it goes down here, it pushes this away to here and this away to here. So you can see how that makes the circuit there. So now I've got to put it back together. What I'm doing now is I'm putting through some more cable. So what's the point of having a join on the cable here? I might as well solder this directly onto the switch, because this is just more chance of failing in the future. It's just another point that could fail. So there's no need to have that. So I've undone the screw at the bottom there, and now it's loosened it up so I can pull through more cable, and then I can put a nice new cable straight onto the switch there and do away with this joint, which will be a better job. So that's it. Now you can see the cable comes in, routed round here and straight into the switch itself, and now we've only got about an inch of wire without this outer insulation, just the last bit, just as it connects onto the switch. So probably a better job than having that extra join there. And it looks much neater as well, and less chance now of that heat shrink slipping off and, for example, a live wire touching this one here. So what I'm going to do now is I think I'm going to put the bottom cover back on, because I don't really need access to that anymore. I'm not going to get involved with changing out the caps. All I'm going to do now is order up some of these lights. Apparently they're 12 volts 1 watt lights, so I just need to get 3 of them, and I'm just going to clean up these switches here and put a bit of deoxit in there to give them a slightly better contact and just give everything a really nice good clean. So next time you see this, it will have the back cover back on and it should look a bit cleaner. Just screwing these heat sinks on at the back with these little screws with the fibre washers, and look what I noticed. When I started this one here, I looked, and look, all those solder joints have completely gone, and also the same on this one here. Now, I believe there's some sort of MOSFETs, and they're attached with a little bit of thermal paste onto these heat sinks here. It could have been my messing around with it, but I wonder whether they were a bit weak beforehand. Not sure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to screw them all back in, and then I'm just going to resolder all of them along here. 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. Right, so let's just reflow each of these. So that's them soldered back up again, so now I can put the bottom cover back on. Now, do you remember this little speaker switch here? Well, it doesn't look like it was ever on here because there's no cutout or anything on it. And this does look like it's been designed this way. All this unit here, cut out for the switch here with 2 little holes. And I've undone these screws, and the wires are only about that big that go to the speaker things here, and it all looks like professionally done, so I don't think that's been messed with. I'm thinking that that might have been the original place for it. The weird thing is, if you look here, it's kind of covered up. You can get to it, it's just that you need like an implement to go in there to move it across, which isn't ideal at all. I'm wondering originally if there was maybe a plastic sort of finger that went across, so I wonder if there was like a bit of plastic moulding finger thing that went across and allowed you to do this, because it just doesn't look right. I mean, you're hardly ever going to use that, only when you're setting it up. So maybe you were advised just to put something in there and move it across, but for an expensive product, it doesn't seem right. It's a bit strange. That really looks like the on and off switch should be there, but there's no way to mount it, and that looks like it is meant to be there as well. Bit odd, that one. So I've been looking into replacement lights here, and it's not actually that straightforward. The lights here are critical for the working of the circuits. So if you were to put in different values, or if some don't work, it can affect the running of the whole thing, which is quite interesting. So luckily there's quite a following for this, so I can actually for £20 UK get all the lights, but I don't know how long they're going to take to arrive, and they would be the incandescent ones, the same as the ones that are here. But when I just go onto eBay and type in 12 volt 1 watt or 12 volt 70 milliamp lights, I can't find any like this, because these are the solder-in ones. So I've seen them in America, but not in the UK. So these would have been probably used in car dashboards years ago, but since then they went over to the plug-in ones, and then after that now it would be all LEDs, so that's no use to me. So yes, I can buy the kit that's been put together for this for £20, but at this moment in time I can't seem to find, I only need 3 of them, I can't seem to find these ones here. Now, I don't want to pay the £20 just yet, because I want to get this back up and running, because all these capacitors might need changing, like that noise on the FM stereo, or maybe there's going to be other crackles and stuff, or things might have hums on it. So I kind of want to put it back together to get it working, to see what needs to be done to it. So I want to get it up and running just for the time being. Now luckily there's a bit of a following for these online, and I've had a look at this website online called BeoLover blogspot.com, and in that one they change over some of them to LEDs. So they leave these ones here, and they leave the FM ones and the FM stereo one because they say that they're important for the running of the circuit. But on the others, they went all the way up to LEDs. So what I'm thinking about doing is taking out this one here, which works, the base one, putting it over to this one here, which doesn't work. So that's the FM ones here. The tuner indicators will still be incandescent, and I'm thinking about going over to LEDs on these ones here. And what they did is they just used LEDs with a 1K resistor. Now I haven't done the mathematics to see if that would be the same, because if there's 12 volts here, I don't know, I didn't do the maths, but that's what they've done on their one, and they've connected the resistor to the positive of the LED. So I have got LEDs around the house from old torches and Christmas lights and stuff, so I'm thinking about messing around with that now, putting this one over to here, so this is all going to be incandescent, and then I'm thinking about changing these three over to LEDs. As well as that, you can see I've just scribbled on here with the black pen as well. It looks awful, but you can see now when I put my hand under it, you can see that there's definite squares going up there and squares going up there and also there. So I'm thinking when it all goes back together, that should look a bit better. So I'm going to mess around now with these three here with LEDs, and then we'll see what's going to happen with it. Right, so just a little bit of update. So I'm just working on these lights at the moment. So you can see what I've done here is I've cut the old ones away, and now I've put the 1K resistor. It's going to be on the positive. So on this one here, if you have a look at the bottom here, you can see the track here is the positive. So positive, positive on that one there, and positive on that one there. So it's going to be positive, positive, and positive. Now if you're wondering on your LEDs which one is the positive, it is the smaller plate. So if you have a look here, can you see that the smaller plate is on this side here? This is the larger plate. And if we get our multimeter and if we put it in Diode Test, yeah, this is Diode Test here, this symbol here, then if we were to get the positive and put it on the smaller plate, which is that one there, and then the negative on that one there, you can see it lights up. Well, if we were to do the other way round, it doesn't light up. So you know then that that is definitely the positive plate. So I'm going to be putting the positive on the resistor just like that there. So there you go, you can see now the LEDs are in place with the 1K resistor. And there. And what was mentioned on that BeoLover blog spot, which is, have a look at it, I really recommend that you have a bit of reading on it because there's some interesting stuff on there. It said that the LEDs won't produce as much heat, so it's going to be better for these things here because these have been burnt from the heat of the incandescent lamps, but these are not going to generate the same sort of heat that the incandescent ones do. So it's quite a good idea if it works properly. Now what I'm doing is I'm just cleaning up these potentiometer slider things up here. So if you have a look at that one now, I've given that one a clean. I still need to do it more. Look at the dirt that came off it, and I'm just doing this one-handed, but look, a bit of IPA. Check this out. Ready? On this one here. That bit there, yeah? Look at that. So I'm going to spend quite a while doing that, and then what I'm going to do is put deoxit in there, so hopefully they will have a nice good connection again. And I'm just dropping IPA into these switches here, and then you keep on using them like this. Apparently this low, medium and high switch here is for the default volume. So for example, if you have it on low, when you turn it on, the volume will be lower because it doesn't remember the setting that you did it last time as far as the volume control is concerned, you know, the red lights. So yeah, that's what that one there is for. So I'm just going to keep dropping IPA into here and keep moving the switches up and down. And then hopefully by doing that, it might clean the little copper tracks underneath there. The deoxit time, so I'm going to be putting a drop into each of the switches here. And again, working it top and bottom to work its way in. And now let's do these sliders. So I'm going to run it all the way down the side. And there's a little contact here and also a little contact here as well, and then just working it in like this. So I think I've taken this about as far as I'm going to take it in this video here. So what have we done? Well, we've fixed up this switch here. Hopefully that's going to be more reliable now, and I've run the cable right into the switch. We know now why it was only going halfway on these sliders. It was just an alignment issue, so that was a lovely and easy fix. And we've changed these two lights over here. And as well as that, we just colored in this little bit here, which I'm hoping will make it look nicer when it's back together. And swap that light to this one over here. So basically 3 blown lights, fixed the power switch, and sorted out the sliders. So not major repairs, but still nice to see the inside of this one. And yeah, it's great to see that it is still working after 40 something years, which is amazing. And I forgot to mention the resoldering of these transistors up here, but that could have been me because this is all quite fragile back here, so it could have been just a taken apart that did that, but maybe there might have been some dry joints there in the first place. And now this is going to be a tricky bit because I've got to get all of these lined up exactly on those pins. So I've got a feeling this might take a couple of attempts, and even when I do it, I might find at the end that some of them are not working and I might have to take it apart again. So, but what I'm doing is I'm making sure that these are all straight when I take them off, because one was slightly bent. So good and bad news, I just put the thing on. This was the first time I did it, and look, can you see tape's not working? And phono's not working. So these two are not working, so I need to look into why. But check it out, look at the balance. We've got lights and it looks okay. And look, can you see they're right the way up the top? And look here, can you see it's clearly visible that they're up the top? So that's really, really good. I don't want to move it down because it's live and I've got my fingers off it. And also look, 2 lights here now as well. So that's good, but I need to work out now why this and this are not working. Hopefully they're just slightly misaligned, but it might take quite a few attempts to get it right. But yeah, really promising. See if this is working here. Right, these are not working either. So on the second attempt, I got tape, phono and all of these working. Interesting, look, the lights go out there when you're on tape and phono, so they only come on when you do the FM. So that's interesting, but look, the volume's not working unless I need to connect the speakers up. So I have a couple more attempts, and if I can't get the volume to work, then I'll put the speakers on. Maybe it needs some sort of load or something on it before it will start actually working. Right, luckily it was just the alignment issue. I wasn't sure if it was the speakers or not, but check this out now. So 2 lights here, FM, 5 was working, 3, 2, 1, tape, phono, and if I go across here, you can see now, when I go here, it's getting bigger on the volume side there. That was fully on full, and hold this one, and it will start going the other way. So that's a bit of a relief. So I am now going to put this back together. Apparently the volume on this works really weirdly. It measures, I think it measures the actual lights rather than measuring anything else. So there's something that measures the intensity of the lights. If the lights blow, I believe the volume doesn't work. Maybe by doing that it's like a smoother ramp on the way up or something. Right, so now I can put this back together and give it a final clean up. Right, so I've put this front one on and I screwed it in because I wanted to have the buttons, I didn't want them to go misaligned again. But now, this thing here is completely jammed. But look, I've just pulled it out and now these two here are fine. So there must be I didn't notice, but there must be a separate slot for this to go in. So I'm just easing it out and now putting it back in. And now, there you go. Now that's going to work okay. Obviously I've got it unplugged at the moment. So before I put this on here, I'm going to give it all a good clean in the vents here. Right, get this on is quite fiddly, so I've got all the buttons in place here. Actually, do you know, they'd probably be easy to put on when they're down because I need to put it on this way. I think that might be it. Right, so I've got to make sure I've got a nice gap here because I don't want it tighter on one side than the other side. Right, this is going to take quite a bit of a lining. I'm going to get the screws in the corner there and then make little adjustments on it. Well, I've got this back together, I haven't cleaned it yet and I haven't got the underneath back on yet. I just wanted to show you this. Check out the shut line here. Look how perfect that is. So watch this now. I won't open it all the way up because it takes a long time to close. Look at the way it goes down. Look at that. It's perfect. You can even hear it just as it closes that last bit. Oh, it's so nice. Imagine having a shut line like that on your car. That is really, really nice. So I suppose there's things like that that your money's gone on. That's just lovely. I'm really happy with that. Right, let's get the back on and then give it a well-deserved clean. Back on now, nice and securely. I've got a couple of little screws there, and then obviously the original ones here, here and here. Now I'm looking at this and I'm thinking it's metal with no rubber or felt anywhere. So whatever surface you're going to put this on, unless it was just on the carpet, there's a good chance you're going to scratch it. So I'm wondering if originally if it came with like those rubber feet, you know, those plastic rubber feet that you used to get, that used to clip in. I reckon maybe one goes there, there, there and there as well, and that also would give it a little bit more space to get the cables out of it, because the speaker cables go in here and also the cables for your tape and record player. And it doesn't actually, at this moment in time, the weight of this is going to be resting on the cables, because look, you've only got these little lips here, which is about this much, which isn't really enough to get, for example, a DIN cable out of there. So I'm thinking that the feet would have been there to raise it a little bit and also protect the surface it was on. And if you have a look here, look, you've got cutouts here and here. So it looked like there was an opportunity to wall hang this, so you could put it up on the wall. Right, so that's it all done and hopefully working now. Let's give it a good clean. So here comes the fun part. So we're going to be using some Dettol wipes, kitchen roll, and I've got a little microfiber cloth here as well. Have it, and it is looking much cleaner than it did before. So a lot of dirt came off it if you look at all those tissues there. Here we have it all finished and it's looking nice and clean. So let's lift up the lid and then we turn it on over here. Standby light comes on, and now I've got some radio stations tuned in. I can only play them for a couple of seconds each because of copyright, but if you have a listen. And here we go.
It's called Naruto Shippuden. Anime references.
And when you tune it in here, these light up. So when you're a little bit that side, it will go there, and then when you get into the right of the middle of the channel, this will come on here, and you can see the light comes on when it's on stereo. Yeah. And we've got tape and phono. I haven't tested those out yet. But it's come out really nice, especially the little lights. So if you listen now, the balance is working. So now it's all the way over to the speaker here. And now it comes all the way to the speaker here. And if you look at the thing here, look, you can see when I'm moving it along, it's moving along there. So when it gets to the middle ones, it all gets a bit fuzzy, because remember that's where I coloured them in. But you can still make it out. But it's a nice little touch, isn't it? I like that. And then we have the treble as well. It's the treble. And the bass. Just turn the volume down. I really, really like the look of this. It looks like a very, it looks just quality. It's the metal and the finish and stuff. It really is just a lovely, lovely thing. And I think it looks good, even now, 40 years later, or 41 to 43 years later, or 44 years later if it's 76. I think it still looks good now. So what a lovely fix. We just had to take that bulb out, put it into this one here, put 3 LED bulbs in here, sort out the power switch, and do the MOSFETs, what else was there? Oh, that was it. And the alignment of these things here were just out. So what nice little fixes, and then give it a really good clean. So it's still far from perfect, but it's a lot better than it was. And what I'll do now is I'll give it some more testing during the weeks, see how it's performing, because there still might be major things wrong with this. And then I'll get the incandescent bulbs. Right now I can't get them. I've checked on eBay, and you can get them all for £15, which is pretty good, but it's saying the seller's away at the moment, so I'll have to keep an eye on that. And also I think I probably will get a cap kit for it. I presume some of those caps must be leaking. They must have degraded after all this time, so I think it will need a recap, but I want to do some testing on it before I get involved in that. So you might well see this in the future with a revisit video, sorting out the lamps, changing them all to incandescent ones, and doing the caps as well. Now, looking online, it definitely looks like these lamps have already been changed, because the original B&O ones are bigger, and then these look like the replacement ones. So this has definitely had some sort of service, and you can tell that with the capacitors and stuff. But oh, as well as that, the switch for the speakers is working. So if I hit the switch for the speakers, the second 2 ports are not working. But then when you hit the switch the other way, all 4 ports are working for the speakers. So yeah, really, really happy with this. Is it worth £65? I'm not too sure. To me, it is. I think it's lovely. I think it's worth every penny of £65. It just looks amazing, I think. So yeah, I've ordered up plenty more B&O products. I've ordered up quite a lot actually. Video players. I've got a CD player. Yeah, I've got various different things arriving hopefully in the next few weeks. So if you like the B&O stuff, maybe subscribe to the channel, because I will be trying to fix more of it. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe for more trying to fix videos. Take care. Bye now.